provision. Now that has implications not just for Luxembourg, that has implications for the whole of the European Union. It has implications for attempts to maintain decent conditions in wages and conditions. It has implications for trying to maintain and pin down collective agreements. It has implications for the effective monitoring of the rights and standards of workers within society. And when you look at it in the context of the other court cases that I mentioned earlier, what happened with Laval? That was a Swedish case, where the European Court of Justice ruled that Swedish trade unions had acted improperly to the point of illegally for having imposed a blockade on a Latvian firm who had imported Latvian workers into Sweden and were paying them less than the agreed industry rate in the construction trade for building a school. It wasn't an anti-foreigner or an anti-immigrant protest. They wanted to unionize the workers. They wanted them to have the union rate for the job. But the court ruled that while the imported Latvian workers had a right to the Swedish minimum wage, they did not have the right to the agreed rate in the particular industry, in this case, construction. The Roofer case ruled that a council in Germany had acted illegally by trying to prevent a Polish subcontractor getting a contract to build a prison where he intended to pay imported migrant workers half of the agreed industry rate. So it's not a horrible example I'm quoting with Luxembourg. This is a trend, and a very serious trend. The European Court of Justice is sanctioning and promoting a race to the bottom, a driving down of living standards, not just of the migrant workers, but of the workers in the home country itself. Now some people argue that the Lisbon Treaty will tackle this because the Lisbon Treaty has the Charter of Fundamental Rights. It's attached to the Lisbon Treaty and it will have the same legal basis as Lisbon if passed. Now there's been a controversy in the last 24 hours about Article 52, paragraph 2 of this. Joe Higgins, my colleague, got a rap on the knuckles in the media because up on his website he had, I think, 2 or 3 words in what the paragraph says incorrect. And he held up his hands, admitted it, but it doesn't change the gist of it. Because look at what it says. It says, rights recognised by this Charter, for which provision is made in the treaties, shall be exercised under the conditions and within the limits defined by those treaties. In other words, the Charter of Fundamental Rights has to be seen in the context of the wider European law, the wider European treaties. And what they do is to say that the common organisation of the market, in other words, the requirements of business, freedom to trade and provide services and make profits, that is the priority. So the Charter of Fundamental Rights is subordinated to that. And what the European Court of Justice rulings have done is they have given a case law to confirm that that is indeed the case. So if you raise the Charter of Fundamental Rights and the qualifications into a higher level of European law, you are also raising the qualifications and the case law that's been laid down in Viking, Rupert, Laval and Luxembourg into European law. And you are copper fastening that case law and that race to the bottom. And that is bad news. Bad news for migrant workers, bad news for all workers. And I would just make the point that as far as I am concerned, the threat to the living standards of workers in this country and other European countries does not come from Algerians in France, or does not come from Turks in Germany, but comes from unscrupulous employers who will put their profits before the needs of ordinary people and who will be prepared to exploit the Algerians of France, the Turks of Germany, or any other migrant minority in Europe in order to maximise their own profits and drive down the wages and conditions of working people across the board. And that is central, absolutely central to the agenda of Lisbon. And if people out there can understand that that is central to the agenda of Lisbon, the way that they understand that the bailout for the banks is wrong, we have a real chance of winning this campaign. Because look at the opinion poll last week. The establishment and the government in this country The press were their cheerleaders in this campaign, shameless. They've thrown aside all pretense at being objective in the situation. Wanted to have this battle won before it really started, because for the last year, non-stop, they've used all the resources at their disposal, openly and quietly, to use the fear factor of the economic crisis and the poverty and the mass employment that they have created to scare the hell out of people into saying we better not frighten the horses, the foreign investors, the European Central Bank. Maybe, although we don't like it, we should vote yes to Lisbon this time. But what the poll showed last week, they're not going to win on the basis of that alone. The numbers are narrowing. Yes, they have a lead. But people want a debate on this issue. And we'll give them a debate on this issue. And if the points that have been raised from the top platform at the meeting tonight are brought out there, into the schools and the universities, the workplaces and the neighbourhoods in Limerick, that will have a very big impact in narrowing the race and putting the issues on the agenda. So, in conclusion, what I would say, Board SNP, the Commission on Taxation, the NAMA Bank bailout, and Lisbon. It's not one over here and all the others over here. This is part of an overall agenda of promoting the interests of big business against the needs of ordinary people. If we can get out there and campaign and make people see the connection between that, we have a very real chance of having a strong fighting chance of doing the business in this campaign. I'd encourage you, thanks for coming to the meeting and listening to the ideas, but get active on the issue. Get out there and spread the word. Thank you.